There are many things that strike fear into the hearts of most people, things that can paralyze or deter them from acting, thinking, or even living in a way that feels authentic. These fears are primal, deeply rooted in human nature and evolution. For most, the fear of failure is a constant fear, a gnawing voice in the back of the mind that reminds them of what could go wrong. It's the fear of not being enough, of disappointing others or themselves, of facing the consequences of a wrong decision. The pressure to succeed, to live up to expectations, is often so overwhelming that it can cause inaction, hesitation, and a sense of paralysis. But INFJs, though they are not immune to this fear, carry it differently. For them, the fear of failure is often intertwined with their larger vision. Failure becomes just another step toward growth, another lesson to be learned. If you're an INFJ, ensure to check out our INFJ Mastery Toolkit. The link is in the description of this video. Fear of rejection is another pervasive fear that many people face. It haunts relationships, job opportunities, creative endeavors, and any situation where personal validation is at stake. The thought of being turned away, dismissed, or unwanted by others triggers a deep vulnerability that can stop people in their tracks. The idea of being judged or not fitting in can cause anxiety and self-doubt. Yet, INFJs, with their naturally introspective and intuitive nature, tend to embrace rejection in ways others might not. They understand, often without even needing to articulate it, that rejection is not a reflection of their worth, but a redirection towards something better. They see the world through a different lens, where being misunderstood or overlooked can be a sign of their uniqueness, not a flaw. The fear of loneliness is something that most people grapple with at some point in their lives. The thought of being isolated, disconnected, and unimportant in the grand scheme of things can weigh heavily on the human soul. People often seek validation through relationships, social connections, and external affirmation to stave off this gnawing fear. Yet, INFJs experience solitude in a way that many don't. They find strength in their ability to be alone with their thoughts, to reflect deeply, and to grow without the constant need for external validation. They don't fear being alone. They embrace it as a space for self-discovery and creativity. For an INFJ, being alone does not equate to being lonely. It is a sanctuary for clarity, rest, and renewal. The fear of not living a meaningful life, of slipping into mediocrity, or simply going through the motions without truly experiencing the richness of existence is a fear that many people carry with them. The pressure to find purpose, to make an impact, to do something that matters can be overwhelming. INFJs, however, tend to carry this fear as a driving force rather than something that cripples them. They are naturally inclined toward purpose-driven lives, and while they may struggle with the enormity of their ideals, they are rarely paralyzed by the fear of not living meaningfully. They understand that their purpose is often woven into the small acts of kindness, the deep conversations, and the quiet ways they impact those around them. The fear of insignificance doesn't overwhelm them because they measure meaning in ways that go beyond traditional success or recognition. Fear of change is a universal fear, often linked to the unknown. Most people fear what they can't predict, what they can't control, and what might disrupt the delicate balance of their lives. Change, whether it's a career shift, a move to a new place, or even a personal transformation, brings a sense of insecurity and discomfort. Yet, INFJs seem to have an uncanny ability to embrace change with grace. They intuitively understand that change is part of the natural flow of life, and while they might experience discomfort, they also see it as an opportunity for growth. Their adaptability is not about quick fixes, but an innate ability to flow with life's rhythms, even when they are uncertain. The fear of facing their own mortality is something that weighs on nearly every human being. Death, as an inevitable part of life, brings with it a deep fear of the unknown, of leaving behind the life they've built and the people they've loved. For most, the fear of mortality leads to a desire to achieve, to leave a legacy, or to do something that proves their existence mattered. But INFJs approach this fear with a quiet acceptance. Their introspective nature allows them to consider their mortality from a place of peace, understanding that the meaning of life is not necessarily about leaving a legacy or achieving external success, but about how deeply they experience and connect with the world. They are often more concerned with the quality of their inner life than with external measures of success, which makes their relationship with mortality less about fear and more about acceptance. The fear of conflict or confrontation is one that many people try to avoid at all costs. The discomfort of disagreement, the tension of unresolved issues, and the potential for harm or rejection in a confrontation can be overwhelming for many. People often try to navigate life by keeping the peace, avoiding difficult conversations, or sacrificing their own needs to avoid conflict. For INFJs, however, conflict is something they approach with thoughtfulness and care. They have a deep desire for harmony, but they are not afraid of confrontation when it is necessary for resolution. They are often skilled at navigating difficult conversations with empathy, aiming to understand all sides before acting. While they may fear the emotional fallout that conflict can bring, they don't shy away from it if it means protecting their values or nurturing relationships. Fear of imperfection is another common fear among people. The constant pressure to appear flawless, to meet societal expectations, or to fit a certain mold can be paralyzing for many. This fear manifests as a desire for perfectionism, where mistakes are feared and self-criticism runs rampant. However, INFJs have a unique relationship with imperfection. While they may strive for excellence in what they do, they accept that perfection is an illusion. They embrace their flaws, seeing them not as weaknesses, but as integral parts of their unique journey. Their capacity for self-compassion allows them to navigate imperfection with grace, understanding that growth comes through trial, error, and a willingness to be vulnerable. The fear of not being understood is something that many people live with. The anxiety that others won't truly get them, that their complexities, quirks, or inner world will remain a mystery, often leads people to feel isolated or disconnected. INFJs, however, have a natural ability to understand themselves and others on a deep level. They may long for connection and find it difficult when their values or perspectives are misunderstood, but they don't often fear this lack of understanding. Their rich inner world is a place of refuge, and they find comfort in knowing that their worth is not contingent on how others perceive them. Instead, they focus on cultivating relationships where true connection is possible, and they're patient enough to let these connections unfold naturally. The fear of vulnerability is another fear that holds many people back. The idea of exposing their true selves, flaws, weaknesses, and all, can be terrifying. For most, vulnerability feels like a form of weakness, something to be avoided at all costs. INFJs, on the other hand, see vulnerability as a source of strength. Their openness and ability to be emotionally transparent allow them to build deep, meaningful relationships that are based on authenticity. They understand that true intimacy can only exist when both people are willing to show their true selves, and they're not afraid to expose their heart. This vulnerability becomes a tool for creating connections that are deep, lasting, and real. INFJs also don't fear being different or going against the grain. While many people are afraid to stand out or be seen as outcasts, INFJs are often content in their own uniqueness. They are driven by an inner compass that guides them, not by the opinions or expectations of others. While they can be deeply sensitive to criticism, their strong sense of self allows them to navigate societal norms with ease. They understand that true fulfillment lies in being authentic, even if that means not conforming to the standards set by society. This ability to remain true to their individuality is something that both sets them apart and makes them resilient in the face of external pressures. INFJs also tend to view fear as a guide to the deeper layers of their inner selves. Where most might shy away from discomfort, they often move toward it with a sense of curiosity. Fear can signal an area in their life that requires attention, an unresolved issue, a personal weakness, or an aspect of their character that they need to face. Rather than seeing this as a negative, they approach it as an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. Their ability to use fear as a tool for introspection is what allows them to constantly evolve and deepen their understanding of themselves and the world around them. Another area where INFJs transcend common fears is in their approach to vulnerability. While vulnerability can feel like a risk for many, INFJs understand that it is essential for meaningful connection. Instead of fearing the emotional exposure that comes with vulnerability, they embrace it as a way to forge deeper bonds with others. This makes them exceptional listeners and friends, as they are willing to share their own thoughts and feelings without fear of being judged. This openness and authenticity create a safe space for others, encouraging a mutual exchange of emotions and fostering stronger, more genuine connections. Their acceptance of vulnerability also allows them to help others navigate their fears. INFJs often find themselves in roles where they provide emotional support or guidance, not because they seek validation, but because they genuinely care about others' well-being. They help people see their fears from a different perspective, offering wisdom that encourages personal growth and self-acceptance. Their ability to empathize deeply with others makes them incredibly intuitive, able to read emotional cues and provide the support that others may need, even when those people cannot articulate what they're feeling. INFJs also possess an extraordinary level of resilience, which allows them to keep going despite the hurdles that may come their way. They don't shy away from challenges, and while they might feel fear, they don't let it stop them from pursuing their dreams. Their resilience is grounded in their deep sense of self and their understanding that growth often comes from discomfort. They know that pushing through difficult moments often leads to the greatest personal transformation. This ability to stay persistent and maintain their drive, even when faced with fear or uncertainty, is one of the key factors that makes them so successful in both their personal and professional lives. INFJs have an uncanny ability to inspire others, not by telling them to face their fears, but by showing them how to do it through their own actions. Their quiet, steady determination and ability to remain calm in the face of fear serves as a beacon for others who might be struggling with their own anxieties. They lead by example, offering a model of how to turn fear into an opportunity for growth. Because of their compassionate nature, INFJs often become sources of comfort and support to those around them, helping others confront their fears with the same grace and acceptance that they do. This unique combination of inner peace, purpose, resilience, and empathy is what truly sets INFJs apart when it comes to handling fear. They don't suppress or ignore it. They integrate it into their lives, allowing it to guide them toward deeper understanding and connection. Their ability to face their fears head-on without letting them define them allows them to live with a sense of freedom and authenticity that many others struggle to achieve. The fear that so often holds others back becomes, for them, a catalyst for growth, transformation, and self-discovery. What makes INFJs particularly unique in their relationship with fear is their ability to combine their introspective nature with their compassion. They don't merely look inward to address their own fears. They also look outward to help others confront their fears. Because they deeply understand the fragility of the human experience, they offer an empathetic and non-judgmental space for others to explore their vulnerabilities. INFJs don't just teach others how to face their fears. They create environments where others feel safe to do so. This nurturing ability makes them excellent friends, mentors, and leaders, as they combine their insight with their natural inclination to help and support those around them. INFJs understand that fear is often linked to a deeper longing for control. Many people's fears stem from their desire to predict and control outcomes, whether in relationships, work, or life in general. However, INFJs have a unique perspective on control. They understand that true growth comes from embracing uncertainty. They've learned that control is an illusion, and it's the acceptance of life's unpredictability that leads to greater freedom. INFJs don't live their lives in a constant state of resistance to fear, nor do they attempt to control every aspect of their world. Instead, they flow with life's ebbs and flows, trusting that their inner wisdom and sense of purpose will guide them through whatever comes their way. This trust in the process gives them a calm resilience that many others struggle to find. Their acceptance of uncertainty doesn't mean they don't experience fear, but rather that they are able to use fear as a compass rather than a barrier. When faced with unknowns, INFJs often approach situations with an open mind and heart, seeing opportunities for growth even in the most challenging circumstances. They know that fear can lead to a greater sense of fulfillment if they allow themselves to lean into it rather than avoid it. This outlook on life is both empowering and grounding, as it allows them to move through the world with a sense of purpose and a quiet confidence that others find inspiring. For INFJs, the real power doesn't lie in the absence of fear, but in their ability to acknowledge it, understand its lessons, and move forward anyway. Their journey is not one of avoiding discomfort or challenge, but stepping into it with courage, embracing the vulnerability that comes with it, and using it as fuel to create meaningful, authentic lives. They show the world that living authentically is not about being fearless, but about being brave enough to face fear head-on, learn from it, and use it to deepen their connection with themselves and others. If you're an INFJ, ensure to check out our INFJ Mastery Toolkit. The link is in the description of this video.